Hey y'all, what's up? I hope you're all good. Can't really listen and hear what exactly your answer was, but I hope everything's okay. Now check it out. This episode is the 170th episode, and I think I decided to get into the nitty gritty of another round of questions. The title of today's podcast is called "Why Do They Do That?" 14 behaviors that confuse husbands and boyfriends, but I mean, really husbands, but we'll see. See how interchangeable. Not very. There's some that certainly shouldn't have anything to do with boyfriends, but anyhow. Welcome to episode 170 of You're Probably Right. I'm MCM, and today we're getting into a topic that so many men can relate to. I'm sure women can too, at least in some situations, but definitely from the male perspective. Ever find yourself completely confused by the behaviors of your wife or girlfriend? Maybe you're annoyed or simply left scratching your head. You're not alone. Relationships are complicated. I was going to say completely complicated. Yeah. And understanding your partner's actions can, be a real challenge. Today, I'm breaking down 14 behaviors that often confuse or frustrate husbands and boyfriends. From indirect communication to using shopping as a form of stress relief. This isn't just complaints. We're also looking at the explanations, some research, backed insight, and even playing devil's advocate to understand both sides of the story. All right, let's dive in. All right. We shall start at number 1. All right. Indirect communication or hinting. Women may drop hints instead of stating needs or desires directly, leaving men puzzled and wondering. Explanation. Indirect communication can be a way to test the partner's attentiveness or to avoid direct confrontation, but it may lead to misunderstandings. What book was this? You Just Don't Understand. Book 1990 by Tannen. Okay, check it out. And the other side of this is indirect communication encourages partners to be more attentive and paying attention, fostering deeper connection rather than seeing it as bothersome. Men can view it as an opportunity to strengthen their bond. And I know this is probably what most women would prefer, but honestly, I'm going to be real with you. Okay, so you are with a man who hopefully and most likely works a full-time job and has stressors outside of just your relationship, but also including your relationship. No matter what, a man takes on a level of stress just by having a wife. And I'm sure some women will say the same thing, but we have to figure out, okay, now remember, before I get into this deeper or any of these other statements, I kind of want you to know that not that I am pulling out a Bible here to give you the biblical terms or scriptures where certain behaviors or expected behaviors or situations would, happen in these statements. But the whole point is I'm looking at things from a Christian lens or from a person who is a believer or who has been brought up by Christian beliefs through that system, not necessarily the newer system where everything and anything goes and you don't tell anybody they're doing anything wrong and you don't, reprimand anybody except for those who are not being inclusive. Okay. So I just had to put that out there. You can take for that for whatever you want to take it for. Remember, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only, so it might not jive well with whatever it is your beliefs in the world are, but I just had to put that out there. So yes, women, guys don't want to have to guess what you're thinking. Guys don't want to guess what you need. Guys don't want to figure out in their mind the little hints you're dropping. A lot of guys would prefer you be very direct, and you don't have to be loud. I mean, we'll even take whisper. But many times we really don't know. And I guess guys who usually suffer are the guys who really don't want to hurt their wives' feelings, so they guess. And sometimes they guess right. And sometimes, most of the time, probably most of us guess wrong. And usually it leads for a little bit of friction for some and huge arguments for others, and repercussions and stuff like that down the line. For others, it's still all right. So yeah, indirect communication or hinting. Guys don't really love it, being honest with you. Next, emotional expression and mood changes. Now, obviously, we expect you to express your emotions, but sudden shifts in mood or intense emotional expressions can be confusing for men who may not understand the triggers. I guess that would be generally in the beginning of the relationship, when he's just trying to get to know you, and there's certain expectations some women put on guys for them to know exactly what is what is the issue. And I can tell you, most guys most of the time don't know. Most guys are just not wired that way. And to be honest with you, some guys that are wired that way, they're wired that way for a reason. So usually you'll gain over here with those men, and other places you'll lose. All right. Hormonal fluctuations, stress, or external factors can have effects. Sometimes just memories, but they'll affect your mood. And without clear communication, many men will misinterpret these changes and not understand and not get it, and many times can be insensitive. That was out of the book called Emotional Expression in Women. This is made in 2017. Well, the American Psychological Association notes that emotional expressiveness can vary and can impact relationships. Okay, it's APA. Okay, whatever. And the other side of the argument is emotional expression is a healthy way of processing feelings. Instead of being bothered, men can embrace these expressions and, look at them as invitations to provide support and deepen emotional intimacy. And that's cool. But just being honest, the average guy, I mean, to tell you the truth, when you look at the other side of it, most guys are going to have to be trained to be that way. If that's what you want, if you want them to be able to catch that you had a rough day just by the way you sigh when you walk through the door, and then they rush upstairs and draw you a bath with Epsom salt, well then guess what? You're going to have to train the guy still. You're still going to say, you know what? When I walk through the door and I go, that means I want a bath drawn with Epsom salt. Like, it won't be that dry, hopefully, that you'll have to let out certain signals on purpose. But hopefully with some training and getting to know each other. And you might say, you know what? We've been together for a long time, so he should know these things about me. But some women aren't that good with their signs. And another thing, really think about it. There's nothing like someone who is straightforward and who will tell you what they would like. Now, I understand there's some sort of a draw to not having to let on. on purpose, and somebody who actually can read you like that. But I can tell you, most guys in most situations are not going to. There are some guys who will be very good and will pick up on a lot, but still, sometimes nobody knows. Not even other women know. Each woman is very individual. Yeah, individual. Uh, they're all women are individuals, and very seldom will you have one and two who will have every single emotion and feeling the same way. And I know sometimes you'll have a woman around and she will understand what happened and why there's some care and concern for emotional expression and mood changes. But many times guys have a whole other world that they're dealing with, and they just won't know. And you're setting yourself up for problems when you're expecting the guy to play the guessing game on guess how I'm feeling today. All right, next one. Expecting mind reading. Again, assuming that your partner should know what you're thinking or feeling without verbal communication. Obviously, this expectation can lead to frustration when needs are unmet because they were unspoken. I can't hear anything that you didn't say. Many men should say, but of course most guys are usually on some kind of a trip, some sort of impress tour of their wife or girlfriend. So therefore, a lot of the time, what men will do is when they guess it right, because they're really in tune, especially when they're just trying to get a woman, they're really in tune with everything. Why? Because they're really in tune with other things. So they realize that they have to be extra careful on what they do and what signs are being put out, so that you will know which way to go and which way not to go. Just being honest. And I know women, want to be dated for the rest of their lives by their husbands, but in reality, we're somewhat of a prize ourselves as well. And, we're not always going to be turning over backwards, inside out, trying to figure out exactly what you're thinking. Sometimes we will, as we get to know you better in that way, pick up on some of them, but we're not going to know every single time. And you might say, as I said before, we've been together for so long, so he should know by now. But maybe you guys are just to the point of starting that. Or maybe he's just starting to get to learn you in that way. Don't feel offended because of the time that you've already put in. But be appreciative of the fact that he is putting in the effort, even if he's late on it. And that book was Fighting for Your Marriage. It was written in 2010. And the other side, again, is expecting a partner to anticipate needs reflects a desire for a strong emotional bond where partners are attuned to each other. Men can view this as a challenge to become more observant and connected. Now, I like it where I like that challenge. The problem is very few guys get to use this situation as a challenge. More or less, it's more like a litmus test or Russian roulette, where you just kind of guess the problem. And a lot of us, most of the time, are guessing wrong. And the times that we get the whole thing right, most of the time we're getting lucky. Now, of course, there'll be certain women who will be routine in their behaviors, sometimes certain times of the month, or sometimes just certain behaviors will tell us that something is going on if the woman's not that complicated, or not complicated in that way. So that guy might be able to pick up over here that she's ready to go home, but she's tired when you're out. Whereas over there, she might not pick up, that you're tired and you want to go to sleep and you really need her just to turn the light off or shut the phone down so you can actually get some sleep, lights flickering in the background. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Next, taking a long time to get ready. There's an easy one, right? Spending extended periods of time on grooming and dressing can test the patience of men who may get ready a lot quicker. You know, guys tend to know exactly what they're putting on, or even if they didn't know what they're exactly putting on for the whole month before you're going to an outing, they can still locate it usually in the drawer or in the cupboard fast enough that they take their shower, slap on some cologne, put on some brand new clean socks and underwear, whatever it is, and then throw on the outfit. They're usually ready to go within 10 minutes, maybe 15 if you have to shine his shoes a little bit or something. You know what I mean? Women, may spend more time on their appearance, and due to personal preference or social expectations, that's just the way it is. And sometimes guys get frustrated, or guys look at it sometimes and say, okay, man, you're really, really putting in a lot just to go to this one little outing. Meanwhile, I see you every day with your hair all ratty, with your stained track pants and shirt that's too big. And we're wondering, why is there so much effort going into you displaying for people outside of the home what you look like? We accept you for who you are, yes, and that should matter, and it should matter enough for you not to take an extra hour or two to get ready most times. But anyway, that's just from a guy's standpoint. If you're listening to this with a guy, he probably won't even admit to this. So that's why I'm here. But taking time to get ready is often about self-care and confidence. Men could and should, I guess, appreciate the efforts their partners put into looking and feeling their best. But understand, women, sometimes it is just straight up difficult. Number 5. Being overly critical or nagging. Behaviors frequent reminders of critiques about small tasks can be perceived as nagging. You wonder why hasn't he gone and hung that picture straight since you put 15 holes behind it and hung it because he took too long in the first place. This behavior might stem from a desire for organization or feeling that responsibility or unbalance because something's not done. And this is from the Journal of Marriage and Family. The other side of this statement is, what is perceived as nagging may actually be an attempt to maintain harmony, efficiency at the home. Men could view these reminders as efforts to improve their shared environment, which is true, but sometimes it's just straight nagging. And sometimes it has something to do with something else that we will talk about a little bit down from now. Overanalyzing conversations and events. Reading deeply into comments or situations that men consider trivial. Women might overanalyze due to higher rational awareness or relational awareness, or concerns for nuance in communication. And yes, you're right. Sometimes a guy doesn't see something and they overanalyze the conversation of what happens. Like, I can say for personal, and I'm not admitting to most of these, and I'm not saying I haven't done or had these situations have had nothing to do with me. They are on this list. But sometimes, I remember having conversations with, say, a store clerk or a drive-through person, where the person I was with would think that the conversation I was having with the customer service rep or the salesperson seemed a little bit too personal, and what was I trying to prove and all that. Many guys have had that. Sometimes the guys just literally help somebody else while out with his wife, and she takes it as some sort of a throw and says, oh, you picked that thing up, or you reached for that thing for that lady that she couldn't reach, but where were you yesterday when I was looking for the salad dressing on the top cupboard and I had to climb on top of everything and your help was nowhere to be found, even though you might not even have been at home. But you know what I mean? It's just, it's funny how that is. And I guess the other side of it is overanalyzing demonstrates a high level of engagement and care in the relationship. Men can appreciate this, of course, by, this depth as a sign of commitment. So to say that, what, she's really, really committed. So she cares. And, a lot of women will accuse a guy of not caring. And that's why she's overanalyzing the situation, because she has to pay attention because maybe you don't pay attention as much as you should. But the bottom line is, honestly, sometimes you're just overanalyzing the situation. When the lady said hi to your husband, she only meant hi to your husband. That's it. There's nothing else to it. All right, moving right along. Frequent social media use. Excessive time spent on social media, especially sharing personal moments, can cause discomfort. Many guys are private. Many guys would like to spend time with you in the here and now, but many women get caught up. Oversharing or constant engagement online can lead to feelings of neglect or privacy concerns when you never know when you're going to be pulled up or when you're going to be, a picture is going to be snapped of you. Guys have woken up in the morning and found pictures of them on social media and with some cute thing like, this is how my hubby sleeps, or, 5 seconds of you snoring or something like, you have to really be in tune with what your partner would like, and in respecting your partner as you would expect others to respect your partner, then you shouldn't be posting and taking things from them when they are unawares. And I guess that can go all around. But yeah, just sticking to social media. And I guess social media provides social support and a personal fulfillment, but men might see this as an opportunity to engage with their interests, or set some mutual boundaries or something like that. But guys, try not to see it as too much of negative. It's this new thing called social media that's not actually that new, but it keeps changing and supposedly getting more user friendly, although it's also starting to waste a lot of people's time. They spend too much time on it, obviously. So who's to blame? Comparing relationships to others. Making comparisons to other couples can make men feel inadequate and pressured. Such comparisons can create unrealistic expectations and diminish appreciation for one's own relationship and one's own spouse. So you shouldn't always try to have to be like the guy down the street who happens to barbecue 15 steaks and 10 full chickens when, his spouse's family comes over or whatever it is. Like, try not to compare. This is what you got. This is who you picked up. And guys, if you were one way when she met you and some of that stuff is sloughed off because you feel like you're not in the hunt or the chase anymore, well, newsflash. For you to display that you are honest and a man of your word and not a chameleon, try to be exactly who she married. And if there are ways that you had that you don't even remember you had, because it happens to most guys because they're blinded by many different things when they first connect with a woman, ask her, maybe not that high octave, but ask her and say, honey, is there anything that I used to do that you really liked that I haven't been doing lately? Somehow I might have forgotten, and I want to care for you and make you feel like you should as a woman, as my woman. But I know that it's very possible that I forgot to do some things. Therefore, coming off as like, I don't care, but I do. You know? Comparing can express desire for growth or highlight, positive aspects admired in others. It can open dialogue and, it could be about mutual goals. If the person does it in a positive way, of course, and not too often. Number 9, changing plans last minute. Altering agreed upon plans can frustrate men who value consistency. Last minute changes can disrupt expectations and can cause logistical issues, especially when he's already certain you're doing it a certain way, whatever that thing is or wherever you were going. And I guess the other side of this one is flexibility adds spontaneity, and men need some more of that. Men could embrace these changes to enjoy new experiences together. So always be open. Let plans change sometimes. Let her be the person who makes things are always changing, so you never know. Just allow things to be, guys. Don't be so rigid with your plans. I know it's very difficult for a lot of us guys. Next one, using shopping as therapy. Engaging in retail therapy when stressed can be confusing and also costly for men and women. Shopping provides temporary relief. Yes, it does, from stress. You take your mind off of whatever it is and start thinking how you can get these 2 shirts for this price, and those jeans and those socks and those stilettos or those penny loafers or Nikes. Anyhow, yeah. Shopping can be a legitimate form of self-care and relaxation, especially if you haven't done it for a while. Men might support this in coping as a coping mechanism by understanding its benefits, but also at the same time, you can afford what you can afford, and there's no point in buying stuff that you don't need or stuff that's going to put you in the red or in hock, looking for a way to buy out of your problems. Number 11, feigning ignorance and sexual advances or of sexual advances. Pretending not to notice that our partner is in the mood for that. This may be a way to avoid intimacy without directly refusing, but it bothers guys when, you're in that situation and, you're married or whatever, and, husband's looking for some situations like that and there's no answer. He's not being so subtle, or maybe he's being subtle, but anyway, he thinks you should understand, and many just pretend like they don't. So they just fake it, feigning on sexual advantage. So even though it happens or whatever the case is, it's still all of a sudden you're oblivious. You know me for 10 years and you're oblivious. You have no idea, right? Next, using intimacy as a bargaining tool. This really ticks off guys, but most of the time, if it actually results that way, being honest with you, we're usually fine with it. Anyway, offering intimacy in exchange for putting out the garbage or putting up the new shelves in the garage or taking all of the clothes to be dry cleaned or cutting the lawn and striping it, tasks or purchases. This can make affection feel transactional. And I said, nothing's really wrong with the transaction in a marriage, in some sort of way, but that shouldn't be one of those things that a man has to figure out how to pay for or get fronted on like it does. Doing this stuff will do something, and then there's nothing at the end of it anyways. But On the other hand, this might be a playful way of negotiating within the relationship. Men can interpret this as an opportunity for mutual negotiations, and sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes it can be fun. Like you can try to figure out stuff or do your little funny bets and whatever it is. Or, but I mean, at the end of the day, it shouldn't be out of the question, even if the bet is lost. So maybe you have to. Maybe if you're gonna do a funny bet, dealing with this situation, that you don't. It's not all bets off. If maybe there's just certain aspects that can be enhanced or whatever it is that still allow for him to get what he wants, there to be some more fun, and whatever. If it has to come down to that bargaining, but of course, it'd be nicer if you're both just on the same page. Forcing unwanted social interactions, leaving him alone with someone he dislikes, or to encourage, bonding, like, oh, I'm just going to leave you here with my mom and you can help her peel potatoes for 45 minutes. I'm going to the mall. I should be back no less than 2 hours and a half. Like, stuff like that. Guys can't stand it because the whole time you have to sit there racking your brains on stuff that's good to see, knowing full well that probably after this time together with your, say, mother-in-law, she's going to report to her daughter, that she did this, that, and the other, and you did that, this, and those things. And you will definitely not come out the winner. But this may, she may believe in encouraging these interactions will, one day benefit you and them and him and the family. Men can appreciate her efforts and give the interactions a chance. So, yeah. I mean, if it happens, it happens. I say do your best and try to suss it out. And as we get to 32 minutes, last one. Delaying despite knowing his desires. Stalling while doing something or talking to someone on the phone, aware that her husband is waiting for intimacy. This may be perceived as inconsiderate and hurtful. And although many times a guy cannot put together why he is upset, a lot of the time this is the reason. The reason is whatever he bargained for, whatever he thought was, coming with the relationship, is being worn out. No. No, well, whatever. The bottom line is sometimes guys are just waiting for certain situations, and women fully well know that that's what they're waiting on. And it hurts guys to their soul. I can't explain it. Like, it might sound superficial, it might even sound perverted or whatever it is, but the bottom line is guys know what they want. And many times, most guys, because of especially if a guy who has a set shifts that he works or whatever it is, you may know that, or may realize that these situations come up at the same time every week or the same time every paycheck or whatever it is. And yet you'll be up there pretending that you don't know what the heck he wants and just delaying for no reason, or at least for reasons that he doesn't subscribe to, which makes everything difficult for everyone. All right. Closing thoughts. Relationships are about understanding, patience, and recognizing the unique ways we all communicate. The behaviors I covered today might be confusing, even frustrating. Talk to your spouse. But when we take the time to see things from both perspectives, we start to bridge the gap. Relationships thrive on empathy, and the devil's advocate view offers, some sort of a well, it's not supposed to be meant to excuse behaviors. They're meant to provide insight and foster connections. So please don't use either side as some sort of we were listening to the podcast and the guy said, or I was listening to the podcast and the guy said. Okay, guys. Anyway, until next time, remember, you're probably right. Now let's find the understanding that makes that truth work for both of you. Anyhow, take care. I'm MCM. Peace out. Hey, come come check out You Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 docs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.